Hello and welcome to another episode of the Anime Lounge. Today we are going to be talking about Yu Yu Hakusho, Netflix's live action. I'm here with my co-host Matt. How are you doing?
Getting better. That's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. Well, you sound a lot better, that's for sure. I know you were battling a little bit of a sickness, but you've definitely improved quite a bit.
Yeah. Thank God for just time. That's all I can say.
Yeah. All right. Before we get started today, we like to introduce our adult beverages of choice. Today, I'm going to be drinking a little bit of old fashioned made with some of my wedding whiskey, and that's all I got. What about you, Matt? What are you drinking?
I am drinking some Journeyman's Distillery Four Cross.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, that was some pretty
it's
good stuff. I remember.
yep, it's good.
All right. So, like I said, we are going to be covering only the first episode of Yu Yu Hakusho's Netflix live action, and we want to let you guys know whether this series is going to be worth it or not. So, everyone has most likely seen the trailer. Lots of crazy stuff was going on. So many differences between what we came to know from the anime and what we were just itching to know about this live action. So, we're gonna do this episode with a minute or two of vague talk, no spoilers, what we thought and whether this was worth it. And then after that, we're just gonna jump into spoilers and we're just gonna have fun with this like we usually do.
Yeah, definitely. It's when you. So I guess I'll just kick it off. As far as what I thought of the live action as a
Yep.
show, it was pretty good. A standalone show as a Yu Yu Hakusho live action. Uh, it was fine. It's the best way I can say it. We'll definitely talk about some complaints I had, but some of the changes they made were kind of interesting, and I had no issues with some of the things they did. So it's like a solid 5 out of 10
Right there
as
in
a
the
Yu Yu
middle.
Hakusho sh- anime, or sorry, Yu Yu Hakusho live action.
Adaptation. Okay.
Yeah, but as a show, I'd probably say like a 6.5. So it was pretty good.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. The liberties that they took with some changes were acceptable. You also have to remember that it's a lot harder to translate animation into live action. So I can see the difference that the slight differences that they took in order to make this into something that we can see today. Something that definitely couldn't have been done 20, 30 years ago when they were talking about ghosts and spirits and stuff like that. So we could talk about stuff like that. Uh, but I think being a diehard Yu Yu Hakusho fan, I think I would give this a little bit higher of a rating.
Okay.
I I think that they stuck pretty strong to the basic storyline. They obviously took a couple deviations, but the main ideas are all there.
Yep.
The first couple episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho is spot on, except for the biggest change of all, which we can talk about in just a minute.
Yep.
So, with that being said, I will give this about a 6.5
Okay.
as just a solid, maybe even a 7 so far. And that's without spoiling anything. So
Okay.
I will go off and just say like yes, this is worth watching, and I will give a little bit more to say at near the end of this episode whether our listeners want to stay tuned and get a little bit more information on a little bit more facts that I can throw at them. What about you? How do you feel about this? And are you going to continue watching? Would you recommend this just after the first episode?
I will continue watching because I'm curious about what happens next. Because of the liberties that they've taken, I'm curious how they expound on them and how they progress through the series. It is 5 episodes. I don't know if this is going to be like 5 episodes for what would be Yu Yu Hakusho live action season one, or is this 5 episodes of this is the series? I hope it's not that, but I have to finish watching to know. So I am curious on that part. And like I said, the show, the writing, man, there was some I think it was lost in translation type of stuff that was missing, but the show itself was pretty good. If I was like I needed this to be Yu Yu Hakusho but live action, I would hate it because it was not a direct spin-off like One Piece of the series. It is a take on Yu Yu Hakusho. And so if you are open to a take, then yes, I would absolutely recommend this. But if you're like, unless it's a one-off of the anime,
A one for one.
yeah, you're not gonna like this. But the show is well done. Like to be completely honest, they did a good job on the show.
Yep. Yeah. So I think we both kind of feel the same on that one.
Yep.
So Yu Yu Hakusho, it's worth it. Give it a shot because we're both pleased so far, and can't wait for more. And
Yeah.
obviously, it's all here. So
Yeah, let's get into some real deep dive of episode 1 because they did take some liberties. I will
right,
say that.
right.
Um
So from this point forward, spoiler time. Anybody that hasn't watched it, don't listen further because we're going to talk about everything. So all
yep.
right, let's get started.
So what were some changes that you enjoyed out of the live action?
Ooh, okay. Right off the bat, I was actually very, very excited that the Makai insects were introduced immediately. I thought that was a nice twist and a good fast forward button to try to mesh ideas together. And I was really appreciative of the Makai insects.
Yes.
That being said, is also with every yin, there's a yang. They weren't called Makai insects. I was cringing the entire time.
Yeah.
So they're
And
in this one they're called roundworm monsters. What were your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. I did enjoy how they did it. Being the catalyst to get Yusuke to be a spirit detective, I thought that was fine. Like you said, it was kind of a fast forward button to be able to skip some stuff. So I'm curious if we do go to if we have a Saint Beast arc, how they're gonna do that. Like what's gonna be the catalyst for that to happen. It could be something along the lines because we know there's a hole. Maybe they're trying to like get out from the hole and Yusuke and crew have to fight them from getting out. I could see
Yep.
that being what it is. And then just the Makai insects, I'm going to keep calling them that because that's essentially what they are.
Yeah.
We're just a precursor to everything. And that's how Yusuke became the spirit detective. And I'm fine with that. My issue with the round worm monster was they
Mhm.
were turning him into demons or oh man, what were they saying?
Yokais.
Oni? What's that?
Yokai.
Yokai. Yes. That so they were transforming people into yokai but not actually transforming them. Like that was probably my biggest issue with the entire first episode was so the kid that Yusuke saves, which was not the little kid, we're talking a teenage kid,
Yep.
turns into a yokai, and then through the power of will, he unturns into a yokai, and I'm just like, it's what? That didn't make any sense.
It's a little strange, but at the same time, in the anime, when they were turning into those zombies, when the whistle was broken, everybody did go back to normal. So I understood that when Yusuke was able to punch the bug out of him, the bug leaving the host allowed the host to go back to normal. So I accepted that for what it was.
My issue was the transformation of the kid and then him reverting. Like
Yeah,
if he
like you're
just would
talking
have
about that
been,
claw arm.
yeah,
I did not like that claw arm.
yeah, I thought that was just not good. But he wouldn't have transformed and then kind of just went back, reverted, I
Mm.
would have been okay with that. But the transformation was my issue.
Yeah, okay, I 100% agree. Other than that, I thought that whole little fight scene was choreographed really well. It was beautiful. It was definitely the biggest pull from the first episode as far as fight scenes go. So I was totally into that. It brought like a horror kind of sense into the show, made it really
Yep.
nice. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
definitely.
after going from claw arm back to fingers back to human, I didn't like that sequence of events. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. I would say for me personally, one thing that I really liked is the inclusion of Sakio
Yep.
into the first episode. I thought that was very smart because if you remember from the anime, he's kind of that behind the scenes character that's driving everything anyways. So
Yep.
just to include him to begin with, remember this is a TV show, so you have to reel people in within the first episode. So you got to include your villain right away, and he is a villain. So you get him. You, as I had mentioned earlier, he kind of helps bridge some things that they've changed, but maybe because of those changes, they can do some other things while still staying true, in a sense, to the anime.
Yep. Yeah. 100% there with you. I'm happy that they introduced Sakio. If anybody remembers from the anime, he is the sole reason why the Dark Tournament even happens to begin with. You could say that about Tagoro as well because he's the one that wants to fight someone really strong. But Sakio is the one really driving everything because he's trying to get all the money so that he can actually open up that portal. And it's all about the money because yeah, he just wants to connect the human world and the demon world through some kind of portal, and that's where it all starts. So yeah, Sakio is definitely the main, almost the main baddie as far as the first 60 some episodes go.
Yep. Another thing that I liked was how Yusuke's house started on fire. Like it made sense.
Yep, love
Unlike
that.
like in the anime, it's like so the dude just randomly starts Yusuke's house on fire, but everybody else is okay. Like that was the one weird part in the anime that they explained better in the live action.
Mm. Yep. Yeah, I was totally on board with that. Uh, as soon as that fire started, well, I'm sure you thought the same thing I thought. Like, what about the spirit egg? What's going on there?
Yep.
How are they going to put this fire out? Ooh, which brings us to the next point. The revival of Yusuke to begin with, right there in the midst of the fire.
Yep.
I cringed a little bit. What about you?
I was wondering what they were gonna do, and I mean it made sense
Sure.
because n- nothing else they were gonna do was going to get Yusuke. Like, how are they gonna get his body out? Like, they couldn't do anything. So that one, I just kind of took it as like, all right, this is just gonna be how they were. It is how what it is without having to like elongate anything as to get Yusuke back.
Yep. Eh, I mean, for all those diehard fans out there that want to try to stay very strict to the storyline, there was no sacrificing of his egg, and there was no kiss at midnight or whatever that the glowing body made it stop and coming back after that. So it was straight to the point. It was he accepted the job as a detective and he came back to life right away.
What'd you think? What'd you take of Koenma as adult?
At first, I was like, "Ah, come on, what the hell?" I wanted to see Baby Koenma, but at the same time, I have to remember as a live action show, I can understand the liberties that they took and just the ease of everything of just making an adult do their thing. Um, I was at first glance, I was like, whatever. I wish they showed little Koenma, but then I was like, I accepted it right away. It's like, okay, just do it. What about you? What did you think?
I completely agree. My only issue is the pacifier because at least when he was a baby or like a toddler, it made sense. And then you're just like, okay, well, he's just he's got a thing with it. So as an adult, it's whatever. When
Yep.
he's just an adult and he has a pacifier, I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't already know the purpose of the pacifier,
Yep.
and and if you're just some new person watching this right off the like, okay, this dude's got some major kink, or he's just in rave mode at all times or something.
Yep.
Like we as fans know exactly what's going on, but yeah, at the same time, okay, yeah, I can understand a little bit of confusion there.
So I kind of wish they would have just taken another liberty and just given him something else, and then they would have been like, yeah, but that's not who Koenma is. And I'm like, you want an adult to just suck on a pacifier the entire time? That's weird.
Or at
So
least do one single scene with him as tiny baby Koenma, and then have him get embarrassed, and then poof, he's the teenage Koenma.
yeah,
So
something, or call him a toddler bitch or something.
yeah. Oh yeah, that was such a great line. And they had to go and skip over that. None of those funny lines are going to be translated over into this.
Yep. What'd you take of Yusuke being 17, not 15?
Yeah, that was a topic I wanted to bring up. Of course, diehard me was like, he's fucking 14. What are you guys talking about? I'm like, you know what? We've been bitching about this for so long, how we want our main characters to not be children anymore. Let's make them a little bit older. And then after like 2 seconds of me yelling at the TV, I was like, you know what? No, I'm actually very happy they actually made him more relatable to someone worthy of watching. No more kid stuff. So yeah, overall, I'm pleased about the 17. So what do you think?
I It threw me off
Uh
because I'm
huh.
like, wait a second, he's not 17. But then I'm
Yeah.
like, it's whatever. It kind of ex- it explains things better for his personality if he's 17 versus 14.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Smoking, gambling, just kind of telling people to go piss off or do whatever. Like it
Hmm.
makes more sense as a 17-year-old than a 14-year-old. So that's okay. And then when his mother is like, well, tuition's expensive. Again, if he's going to a high school is going to be more expensive than a middle school. So it's like, okay, yeah, all these things are starting to accumulate that make more sense. But I had no issues with it.
Yep, I agree. In fact, I liked it. Yeah, after my first impression, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I like this. Here's another
Yep.
thing back to the school talk. Did you notice that everybody else in school was wearing the same green jumpsuit as he was?
Yeah, that was probably one of the changes I disliked the most
Yep,
because you have Kuwabara in blue, and
yep,
Kuwabara is supposed to be like a straight shooter, but just a punk.
yep,
And Yusuke is supposed to be a punk and doesn't care. So he wears green because he likes it, not because that's what the school uniform is, versus Kuwabara, who wears blue because that's what the school uniform is. So I wish they would have kept the blue.
yep. Yeah, because everybody in school is wearing the same green that Yusuke's wearing. He's supposed to be the one who stands out. He's supposed to be the rebel.
Yep.
And now this kind of just shows that Kuwabara and Yusuke don't even go to the same school. So I wonder if they're gonna just assuming that they're the different uniforms. But this is gonna make me wonder that if it comes to the point where they're like, I'm the toughest kid at Sarageshi High. Like, no, I'm the toughest kid at Sarageshi High. Or I'm even the oh, I forget the line, but they're trying to one up each other. Sorry, whatever their school is called. There's a weird last name or a weird Japanese name for that school. Is long,
I think it's Sariaski.
something like that. Yeah. But yeah, so with their different colored uniforms, first impression is going to be that they're different schools,
Could be, yeah. Or Kuwabara is um, the one that sticks out.
or yeah, or maybe he's the one that's being the rebel.
So one thing I'm curious about, what did you take of all the actors for each of the characters? Did you
Every
did you enjoy them?
Yeah, as far as everything goes, everything's fine. We got to remember that these are all like pure Japanese people, so it's really hard to really get a lot of that traditional anime look out of people. So Keiko, she's supposed to be your traditional high school girl. Yusuke, he looks just fine. Kuwabara, of course, everyone's gonna poke fun that he doesn't have that pompadour, but they did a relatively good second uh plan B
It's
kind of thing with him.
it's a modern pompadour.
Right, yeah, so, I mean, it's something, and I it looks fine, I think it's a decent look. Uh, Botan, I don't know if it's because of her English actor, but I don't know, something's throwing me off about the way Botan is compared to the anime. What about you? What do
Okay.
you think about her?
Um, I thought her acting was good. I think it's the ponytail versus the non-ponytail that's throwing me off.
Maybe. I don't know, some of her
Maybe.
mannerisms are a little off. She didn't say
Yeah.
bingo a single time.
I know. I was so waiting for bingo, bingo, bingo when he
Uh-huh,
realized that he was alive or that he was dead, and nope, it never happened. I'm like, oh, okay.
not a
Well,
single time.
yeah.
Um, Yusuke's mom, she was pretty cute. Kept
Yep.
her,
Um,
she's really young when she had him to begin with, so she still looks young as a mom in here.
so she's probably like close to our age, just saying.
Yeah, 30s.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
she because I think she was 17 when she had Yusuke, so if he's 17, she'd be 34.
Yeah,
So,
that was a manga reference, and you covered that when we covered the anime
yep.
in our podcast.
So it's I thought all the actors did a good job. I think it was just some of the dubbing that was a little off. I'd be curious what you would take. Maybe if you get through this in English, you'll rewatch a little bit of it subbed and see if there's any differences.
Yeah, I mean, when we cover this, maybe if we cover this in its entirety for an actual podcast episode, I would like to compare and contrast things because the very first thing that crossed my mind was the way they say Urameshi,
Yep.
because they're saying it with a really long O. They're saying Urameshi, and like everybody's saying Urameshi in the English dub. So it makes me makes me tingle a little bit, but then I just like, it's okay. Uh,
At least they're
Maybe
consistent.
they're consistent. And after I thought about it for a little bit, like, what if that is the way to say in Japanese? Because that's kind of the way it is. Urameshi. It's in America is your ameshi. So
Yep.
they might be a little bit more correct than we are anyway. So I got to give them a little bit of some leeway there.
Yep.
Um, I got I caught one more thing that I don't know if you caught it, but in the very beginning, when the accident happened and the truck driver was driving, and then right when he got infected with the Mackay bug, did you happen to notice what song was on the radio?
I didn't.
It was the original theme song.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta watch just that part again because I love the theme song.
Yep. I mean, it wasn't like the version that we know in the beginning of every episode, but it was that song. I was like, oh yeah, I recognize that song. I'm so glad that they threw it in here somewhere. So yeah,
That's so
there's a
awesome.
little Easter egg for everybody.
But Truck Coon, they couldn't get away from Truck Coon.
Oh, dude, and they ran over Yusuke so fucking hardcore. I was left speechless. I did not expect them to go that far. I thought it was just gonna be a quick, solid, big punch out of the truck, and Yusuke was gonna go flying. But no, not only did they hit him, they ran him over like 3 times, and then he was thrown off to the side, so bloody. I was so shocked, so surprised. I did not think they would go that far.
Yeah, I was not expecting. That was probably the worst CGI of the entire episode, but it was I was not expecting it. And then the
Not yeah.
truck just kind of flinging off to the side. I was like, okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
it was
seeing Yusuke get really messed with, I just took the whole thing as face value. Like, oh, okay, awesome.
yep. I will say I'm a little disappointed in episode 1 we didn't get a spirit gun.
Yeah. Okay, I got a
Uh
little bit of a spoiler in a minute.
okay.
But before I mention that, because we got to talk about the ending of this episode with Hiei, Kurama, and Goki.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, let's talk about the ending. And yeah, let's talk about the ending.
Yeah, so very crazy. What are your thoughts on these yokai things that they're at the end?
Yeah. No. It's way too much Final Fantasy, or sorry, not Final Fantasy, Silent Hill
Yep,
esque. Like this is not a horror game. Yu Yu Hakusho, while there's demons, none of them were really like grotesque. Yeah, none of them were really grotesque like this. And then they
yep.
made no sense. So they have the three spirit items. Where did they come from? Are they like secret agents and they stole them? Or do they work for the spirit world and they were given to them and they're getting killed in the process of transporting them? Like it just makes no sense.
Yeah, now I'm starting to second guess whether the three items were even placed in Spirit World to begin with, because now I'm not remembering the live action making that point blank. I think all they said was that there was three items, three important items that were taken. I don't
Yep.
think they said that they were stolen from Spirit World.
No, they did not make reference to spirit world or anything along those lines. That's just because we know where it came from. That's where that's what they are. So
Right.
yeah, I hated the monster. Like that is like the number one thing I disliked about the entire episode one was those things. But I'm not. I don't know why they made like the sword like a knife.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Nev.
I
I a
did
little bit of a spoiler for that in the future too.
okay. The Orb of Vosk, I think is what it is. Okay, yep. That I was perfectly fine with that. And then I liked their take on like Botan's little notebook and then the mirror. I didn't mind those differences. I thought they were kind of interesting.
Yep, very interesting, very cool, futuristic. The mirror was modern, and Botan's notebook was futuristic and top of the line. So they got to have the best of the best in Spirit World. So I was totally on board with that.
Yep. Yeah, it was I was so happy to see the three monsters as the demons is I guess what they are at this point. Kurama and Hiei. I really liked the way they looked. I thought they were really cool.
Yep. What about Goki? How did you think about his CGI or anything along those lines for his appearance?
I thought it was fine. I had no issues with him. Very just made him very obvious what he is, and I was okay with that
Yep.
because
I
they're
was scared.
very. What's
I was
that?
just gonna say, I was scared on if they were going, for starters, if they were even gonna bother showing these guys. I was scared about any kind of CGI that demons of any sort were gonna be really crappily done. But I thought Goki was very acceptable, and I was very pleased with what I could have expected. So, yeah, I was good with the way he looks.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he was an interesting character, so I had no complaints about him.
Right. Uh, one last quote that I wrote down that I want to share.
Okay,
Back when Yusuke was fighting the yokai, the Makai zombie, he
okay,
was asked, and he was like, "How am I supposed to beat this thing?" And then Koenma was like, "You have to use spirit energy." And then Yusuke's like, "I don't know how to do that" or something. And then Koenma says, "That's not something I can just teach you on the spot," which is really funny because in the anime, he teaches them immediately and it's right on the spot, and then he shoots the teacher
yep,
blindly, in secrecy. So it's really funny of that complete opposite difference right there.
yeah. Except for Botan's like, well, you've already used it before. Just remember that, and he's like, oh, okay. And then he does like a pseudo spirit wave punch.
Yeah, he just puts spirit energy into a punch, and That's how he takes out this yokai.
Yep.
All right. Any more thoughts on episode 1?
I will say I am happy to get more Yu Yu Hakusho content. All in all, as I had said earlier, as far as the show is concerned, I had no issues with it. It's a Yu Yu Hakusho um, adaptation. I had some issues, but I will continue watching it because it wasn't like the worst thing in the world. It was just a lot of creative liberties, and I'm curious what they do for the rest of the series.
Right.
What about
Yep.
you?
I'm right there with you. Loved it. I mean, okay, didn't love it, but I'm happy I saw it. Absolutely recommend that any Yu Yu Hakusho fan watch it. If anyone is mad, shut up and sit down. Understand that it's going to be a little different. It's okay. If if you're expecting the same, then of course, yeah, don't even watch it. Then there's going to be plenty of those people out there. All right, so I can throw out a couple more quick spoils. You will get your spirit gun in episode 2.
Nice. Okay.
And I will give you another quick, easy jab to the downfall of to this series. The three spirit items that were taken, the Orb of Bast, not called that. It's called the Rapicious Orb. The mirror that Kurama gets, it's called the Mirror of Darkness. And Hiei's Shadow Sword is called the Conjuring Blade. So they renamed all of those, and you won't find out about that until episode 2.
All right.
So threw me
Interesting.
off, and of course, there's a lot more handful of differences, and you're gonna be mad at season episode 3 as well. I can tell you that.
All right. I'm just gonna continue watching. It'll be
It's fun. That's all I'm gonna say is it's fun. I'm enjoying every minute of it.
well. That's good. I'm glad that at least it's still enjoyable even with all the changes. So I looking forward to it.
Okay. All right. So that's going to cover the end of this episode. Thank you, everybody, for watching this far. We went a little bit further than we wanted to, but when we talk Yu Yu Hakusho, we like to talk. So it's one of our favorite anime, so it's easy to talk about. So if you are not already following us, please give us a like. Make sure to follow, subscribe, help us out there. Also, check out the anime show on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you stay up to date on everything anime related. Got a new season out this time around, so lots of new anime to cover. And we will catch you guys next time.